Hey, what's up, guys? We are live in the World's Elite Contractors Group. Today we have Chris Parkhurst with C&E Contracting. What's up, Chris?
Howdy.
How's it going, man?
Very, very good.
Good. So today, man, special guest. I think Chris has a great story. We've been chatting about it this whole week. Chris is you said ninth grade high school dropout. Is that correct?
I did drop out in ninth grade, yes.
Dropped out in ninth grade, became a pro wrestler, started a couple contracting companies, and I think it's an amazing story. So, Chris, why don't we start kind of back at the beginning, either pre ninth grade, your childhood, or let's start at ninth grade and just kind of tell us about the progression, man.
No, it would start. So the wrestling part of my life, I actually started at 15. I started training to become a pro wrestler at 15. And I think that my love for that and my dream, quote unquote, kind of put schooling to the side. I didn't care so much about schooling, and it played a big role in me dropping out. The ability to travel and go wherever I needed to go when I needed to be there, it played a big role in me actually dropping out. It wasn't just because I didn't feel like going to school. I just had my priorities were not within the school system at that time in my life. Yeah.
So you dropped out of high school to kind of focus on the wrestling gig.
Yep.
It sounds like. Okay. So tell us about how that went. Like, what was the level you got to? Kind of the history of it. I mean, obviously, I don't think we ever watched you in WWF or WWE.
I've performed for WWE in the past.
Dude, that's
they
amazing.
call it enhancement talent. I never had a contract or anything like that, but we would do random shots, and they would book guys from the indies, which is where I would perform, and bring them in for tryouts and essentially just put their guys over. And I did that for a long time. I started actually traveling probably around 18. Coast to coast, north and south, Canada, Mexico. I did as much as I could possibly do. However, around the age of 25, when I was probably in the middle of my best chance to get a contract, I was kind of cocky and arrogant and full of myself and got in my own way several times. Otherwise, I probably would be doing something different with my life right now. While I was doing that, I was also the project manager for a paint company that traveled the country painting Walmarts and like McDonald's, Burger King's, daycares, this and that. So I was running jobs. Say I was in West Virginia running a job, and then I had go to Florida for the weekend to wrestle and then right back. And I did that for many, 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 many moons. I lived on the road pretty much all of my 20s. When I was 27, I found out that I was going to have my first child. Mm-hmm. When I found that out is what got me off the road. I literally just quit my job. Didn't have a whole lot of money. I was kind of reckless with money at the time. So I just quit my job and decided I was going to figure out how to do it for myself. And that's what I ended up doing. And why I started my first company, which started as a painting company. I had maybe a few $100, and all I did was buy some 4x9 rack cards, some paper marketing material. And it took me, I think, 2 days with another guy, just, throw them in mailboxes, and the phone started ringing. And before I knew it, I had a crew of 5, 6 guys over a couple of years, and my first company was off and running.
So you started the first company was painting only, exterior and
interior. Yeah, 'cause I was a painter by trade. I never really dabbled in much else. So my first company was a painting company, and it didn't take long before we moved into home improvements. I'm not going to say no to any money. And when you're at people's houses, they're going to ask you, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And I would always say, yeah, absolutely. I might not have the tools, but
figure it out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My first deck I built, I bought a book and watched some videos.
Oh crap, man!
As long as you can read a tape measure and you got a little bit of common sense, you can figure it out. But I would never say no. So we moved from just a small paint company into the home improvement field.
Okay, so that was the first company, was the painting company, or the painting and the home improvement is considered the two?
Well, it was all one umbrella. It started as a painting company and it evolved into more than just painting.
Right on. So how long ago was that for you, Chris?
I was 27. It was 10 years ago.
Okay.
And like I know I told you, via messaging, I did just quit it was on a whim too. And I didn't have any tools. I didn't have anything. I just made a decision and did it. I maybe had some hand tools. I didn't own a ladder. I didn't own anything. So those first few months before I could start to accumulate, I was asking every single person I know, can I borrow this? Can I borrow that? Can I borrow this? A good friend of mine from way back then used to actually get up like an hour before his actual job, deliver me ladders, pick them up at the end of the day. Like I had a lot of people around me that really helped get me off the ground, because if it wasn't for them, I mean, I had a paintbrush and a roller, that was pretty much it.
Well, and it also sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, man, but it sounds like the mindset is kind of where you've gotten today. I mean,
you gotta make decisions.
That drive, that mindset. You said, screw it.
That's it. Yeah. Once you make up your mind and you know it in your heart and in your head, you have no other choice but to do it.
Yeah, I love it, dude. Like, I think a lot of people miss how important that mindset is, because we're all given the same opportunities on a daily basis. It's just how do you decide to get your butt out of bed and go and try to make some money that day, or you decide to sit there and feel bad about yourself. And it sounds like you decided to actually, persevere and push through it, especially when you didn't really even know, like, this is what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it.
Oh, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know how to formulate a contract. My first estimate, it might as well have been chicken scratch on a piece of paper. I had no idea what I was doing. I did so much research that first year to kind of, I don't know, have a respectable presentation. Because I had no idea what I was doing. I had no business experience whatsoever. Luckily, I worked for a company who had a great system, and I took a lot away from that company as far as how to treat their employees, how to produce their employees, and then going about business just on a daily basis. I was able to take away a lot from that company, but as far as doing it myself, man, every single day was a new day to learn something new and trial and error and work it out and get better and make that phone ring,
Yeah. What do you think the skills that the wrestling that you picked up through wrestling, do you think that those skills have applied and helped you grow your business?
100%. I'm a through and through salesperson. I can talk to anybody about anything for as long as I need to, and by the end of it, they will feel like they're my best friend. And I do believe that, especially with small businesses, people buy into you way more than they buy into your numbers. I think that part of my life is invaluable as far as what I do now. I mean, I'm easy to talk to. I'm very personable. I like to think I'm a little charismatic. And I think that goes a long way when you first knock on that door and you have that initial conversation, and, you can have a fluid conversation and maybe make somebody laugh a little bit,
Yeah, man. Yeah. I love it. So now you have, your contracting company. It sounds like it's grown. It is a successful company. You guys have been around now for over 10 years, it sounds like.
Well, the first company that I started, I think it lasted about 5 years. And then I live in Virginia right now. And I did then. I do have a 10-year-old son that lives in Massachusetts. And somewhere 5 or 6 years after I decided to sell that company, I moved to Massachusetts for a couple of years and then came back. So I basically got rid of the company. I went up to Massachusetts. I hated it. I can't stand the cold. I'm a Southern boy. I found my wife. I brought her back to Virginia, and we started all over again. My first company was not legitimate. I went through like LegalZoom in the very beginning to try to get all my paperwork and my ducks in a row. I did not have a state license. I did not do it the way I needed to do it. All my guys, I had 7 or 8 guys up at one point, and they were all cash under the table. It just was not a legitimate business. We are about a year and 3/4 into this version. And in the state of Virginia, you have 3 classes of contractor, A, B, and C. And it's mostly monetary, how much you could take per contract, how much you could take per year. We are now a Class A residential building company in Virginia. We have all of our ducks in a row. My wife has been invaluable. Having somebody on the back end that knows what they're doing. She's got 2 degrees, and she owns an accounting firm. And having that back end knowledge it's a game changer.
I bet you're good with your money now, aren't you?
She's good with my money.
She's good with it, right? If there's one thing about anybody that's good with numbers and the books, man, you know that they're good with the money. So that's good, man. That's good. So what do you think? What's like the number one thing that you attribute to your success? Do you have like one thing that you could say, like, if I would have like came to the Y in the road and I would have gone this way, I probably wouldn't have been successful? Is there one thing you can attribute your success to, or is it just kind of everything?
It would have to be commitment. There's a lot of variables over the course of a day, a week, a month, and a year, and it's kind of a roller coaster ride. As long as you're truly committed, it doesn't matter what happens. You're going to keep pushing forward, and without that commitment, where are you going to go? You're going to last a few months and burn out, just like every Joe, Dick, and Harry contractor that exists. To make it a long-term business and become a staple in your community, it's commitment through and through. I mean, if you don't have that, you don't have anything.
Yeah. How are you guys currently growing your guys' business now? Have you developed such a good name in your area that it's mostly referral based, or are you guys
when we came back from Massachusetts, I still had my old email from my old company, so I had that database with all those clients, and we just decided one night I threw out a shot to everybody that I had in my system to try to get going again, and my first like 5 or 6 jobs came off of that. So I still had a reputation from before, and those clients, were willing to rehire me. Since then, the first time around, I know everybody's pretty familiar with Angie's List. Angie's List for me, when it first got into my market, was a game changer. It made it very easy to be successful. I kind of skirted the rules a little bit. I'd pay, whoever I was working for, I'd pay them $100 if they would just write that review right then and there before I pulled my trailers away and whatnot, get that review up. I was a top contractor on like 9 or 10 different trades. And we accumulated over those 5 years, I think 44 service awards. Angie's List made it great, made it easy. All I had to do was pay for my advertising and my phone rang nonstop. Now, this time around, Angie's List format has changed. They used to charge the consumer a fee to be on the site, and then, we would service whatever. Now, they charge us more advertising money and allow the consumer to join for free. So when somebody's not financially invested into it, you're going to get a lot of crap leads. Somebody that's just, it's a waste of time. However, I am using Facebook the way that I used to use Angie's List. 100% of my business comes off of Facebook. 100%. I don't even do anything else because I can't take on more than what we get just on Facebook. If you were to go to our page, it's Facebook/CNEcontracting.com. We have a ton of activity, a ton. And I'll boost, they call it a boost. You're essentially running an ad, but we'll say we build an overhang on a front house. I'll boost that for 2 weeks and put a budget on it. And within those 2 weeks, we'll get another 25 leads. And I don't have to do anything but take some really good before and after pictures. And, that's it. And it makes it equally as easy to be successful as long as you do your due diligence on the back end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. What's like a typical day look like for you? Start from
me personally. I live in my truck. My schedule is great. I mean, we have a lot of leads, a lot. Any day I'd look anywhere 5, 6, 7 jobs almost every single day.
So you're just out bidding, or you actually?
Yeah. But I also manage, like right now we have 3 different jobs going on, and they're all almost an hour from each other. So I'm also kind of the PM, and I'm trying to get early materials and, run the jobs while also looking at the jobs. And I've tried to hire an estimator a couple times now, and we have a lawsuit on one of them, and the other guy just literally quit in the middle of the day. People don't like to work anymore. And
that's true.
That's the biggest challenge that I currently have is trying to find people who will show up to work. It seems like In my experience, everybody could do everything over the phone, but they can't read a tape measure when you get them out on the job. Yeah. Or they might be really, really, really talented, but have drug problems, alcohol problems, don't show up to work, are late every single day, or not presentable. There's a fine balance right in between that you shoot for, but those humans are not easy to find anymore.
Yeah. Do you think that's a generational problem, Chris? I mean, I know, like, I'm 43, you're 37, we're real similar, close in age, and it just seems like for me, man, like I'm starting to talk like I'm your our grandparents.
Yeah.
In my day, yeah, it truly is. It seems like there's a generational problem, at least in my opinion, with workers.
It's true. I talk about it quite often that I'm not too interested in anybody like under 35.
Yeah.
It's contractors are a dying breed. Actual tradesmen are they're a dying breed. You might have somebody that is really good at painting or really good at maybe laying tile, but when you run a turnkey business, you need tradesmen. Somebody that can go in and remodel that bathroom all by themselves, start to finish. And finding those people, man, even if you could pay top pay, and it won't even matter. It's hard to find people. Really
I think, and this is just my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm not as close to the trades as you are, but from an outside looking in, what I see is almost like the trades are looked down upon. That it's not a good living. That you can't make
which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I have a friend that he's a third generation auto dealership owner. And I was talking with him and he's like, yeah, man, we got a couple ASC certified mechanics that have been with us for like 25 years. They make multiple six figures wrenching on cars. Huh. And he's like, they're getting ready to retire and we have nothing. The trade schools are like empty. They're not pushing out the kids. He goes, we're going to be in trouble here. Is that kind of the same thing you're seeing on your end on the contractor side?
I think that's I think that so many people for so many years grew up thinking that they had to go to college to be successful.
Yeah.
That now there's this huge amount of people that have their degrees but can't find work. Or if they are finding work, you went to college for 4 years, you're making $12 an hour, $14 an hour, whatever it is. If you're an electrician or a plumber, you're making 45 to 65 an hour. I think it's silly. I think that I hope it turns around too. Otherwise, in 20 years, I'm gonna have a much harder time than I do now. But I hope that mentality changes. Because the trades aren't going to go anywhere, at all. And so many other professions are being automated. That a lot of people are losing their jobs because computers and machines are faster, more efficient. Can't happen with a trade. It's not going to happen.
And at least out here in Oregon and Washington, they're increasing the minimum wage to, levels that people can't really afford. If you're a small business owner, you can't afford to pay it. And it's funny because all the McDonald's workers are like, oh, that's great, right? Well, being a business person like yourself, we know that there's a cap, right, for that entry level position. And if I have a choice of replacing that person with a computer, guess what? So if you go into the places, now there's these machines now that you can place your order instead of putting it through with a person. Yeah. And I guarantee they're just testing the marketplace. Hey, how many of these people how many consumers are going to use these machines? Next thing you know, there's not going to be somebody standing there to take your order.
It's the same as a self-checkout at a grocery store or Walmart. That seemed to have popped up almost overnight in every store ever. And now I'm starting to see them in smaller stores. Like we have CVS drugstore here. And I just went in to get some flashcards the other day. And I was surprised they had the self-checkout there. They're way more reliable than an employee. They're always going to be there. They're not going to call out. You don't
have to worry about drugs or alcohol problems.
You don't have to worry about anything at all. It's we've been going down this road for quite some time now, which is why it's odd. People spend all these years and all that money on college tuition and all that time and effort, and to get you're sitting there, you can't get a job. You literally have to start your own business based on the knowledge that you learned in college. And if you didn't take a business class, then you better have my wife with you.
That's sounds like a big reason why you're on the right track now, man.
Plus everything. It
You
really
surrounded
is.
yourself with good people, right?
I'm
And
sorry.
I said you've surrounded yourself with good people, and so when you surround yourself with good people, it makes you look really good, man.
100%.
Yeah.
It makes it easy too. Yeah.
So have you seen much of a difference, like with employees? Have you been looking for employees in the middle of this pandemic?
Yep.
Because from other contractors in other parts of the country, what I've talked with, it's kind of strange that dudes are making more money on unemployment than actually, working for somebody like yourself. So is that the same struggle you're seeing as well? They're like, wow, I just sit here on my butt and get paid the same.
No, just finding people to even have a conversation with is my struggle. I've got a team of guys now that's relatively solid. I need a few more players to complete the team. But it goes back to what I said earlier. Everybody can do everything over the phone. You get them out there, they have no clue what they're doing, or they know what they're doing and they don't show up. I don't have a problem with any people choosing to be on unemployment, because honestly, within the contracting field, in order to receive unemployment, you first must be on a W-2, which means you have to have a legitimate job. And there's probably 400 contractors just in my town. And the ones that are actually running a legitimate company are probably 10%, maybe 25%. So that negates that whole field as far as their unemployment. They can't get it. You're working under the table. You're not entitled to anything. My problem is just finding presentable, hardworking, dedicated people that want to make some damn money.
Yeah.
And they're just not there. All the good ones have jobs. They've been in the same place for years,
or they're owning their own company like yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Since you touched on it a couple times, how do you compete with these guys that are not legitimate? Like how are you staying out there? Because I know for the most part, what I understand is these guys can afford to undercut because they're not legitimate. So how do you stay competitive in your market?
Well, there's not a whole lot you can do. When I go on job walks, the state of Virginia recently updated the state law as far as providing insurance documents. This is something I kind of hammer on job walks. The contractor themselves can no longer give you your insurance information, or their insurance information rather. Once I go on a walk and I turn the estimate, I then have to contact my insurance company. They have to directly send my policy to the homeowner. And that is something that I will hammer down the client's, head when I'm there. Hey, if you're getting multiple bids and you're getting insurance documents from the contractor, they're not legit. We've had so many problems with people doctoring their paperwork, that they literally changed the law to where we're not legally allowed to send it. And that's one of the things that kind of weeds out the crap, because if your insurance company is not sending them the documents, then you probably don't have insurance. And I think that most homeowners, while they want a good deal, I'm not so sure that they want somebody that's not insured on the property.
Yeah, true. I mean, one of my other companies is I do own an insurance agency, so I'm very familiar with that. We call those type of people ID card chasers, right? So, and there's definitely you see it a lot more on the auto insurance side of things out here than on the commercial insurance side of things. But when somebody comes in and they want to do a cash only deal, there's like these red flags as an insurance agent. You're going, yeah, they're probably just getting that card so they can stick it in the glove box. But now the law enforcement out here is actually getting smarter. Somehow they're able to tap into insurance computer systems and run it and go, dude, you're not insured. Like that card you just presented to me, because it shows, a 6-month term on it. So they think, oh, well, we're good, right? I'm covered for 6 months. I can throw this thing around. Only time it really ever works is if you get into an accident, then that person gets screwed because they think that they're covered, and they call that and they're like, oh yeah, they don't have coverage. So it's unfortunate, but I guess you just have to play the game and hopefully people understand what the game is, and they're hiring people like yourself that are, on the up and up, man. So
yeah, I would think that it's worth a little bit more money, especially if you're just replacing a floor or something like that. It's probably not that big of a deal. But if you're building an overhang, building a deck, it's something that say requires a permit. Joe Schmo is not going to go pull a permit for you either. I would think it's worth the extra money, the investment.
So there is some red flags, it sounds like, from the homeowner side of things. Number one, if the contractor, well, at least in the state of Virginia, is presenting their insurance to you, as well as if it was a permitted type of job, if they would try to force the homeowner to go get the permit themselves.
Which I used to do back in the day.
2 red flags right there, right? Hey, can
Yep.
you pull the permit for this? No, sir, that's your job, right? Like, then okay, this dude's not legit.
Well, that's an easy thing to kind of flip. Do you want to save $1,000? You know, because you can get your own plans drawn up. You could pull the permit, and then I don't have to charge you. There's an easy way to flip it, but if I was the homeowner, there's no way I don't want to be responsible for any of it. You know, none of it at all. Take on full responsibility. Something goes wrong, you're responsible. I'm just here with a checkbook when you get done.
What are some tips that you can share with the listeners who might be currently struggling with starting a contracting business?
Keep going.
Just keep going.
That's all you can do. I mean, if you've already made the decision, you've already won half the battle. I mean, you have to really make a decision and really commit, because you're not going to sleep. You're going to constantly work all the time. I mean, there's days where, I'm out the door at 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and I'm getting done at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I'm well into my journey. I just can't find the right people to help me out and lighten the load on me. But if you're struggling, it depends. I mean, where are you struggling at? Where are your hiccups? There's so many different aspects of business, and to get the train running smoothly down the track, you got to grease the wheel. There's a lot of factors in play. Just keep going. I mean, tomorrow's a new day. The day after that's a new day. And eventually you're going to work out your kinks. You're going to figure out what you did wrong. You're going to fix them, and you're going to keep on moving. But as long as you're committed and you made the decision to do this, and this is going to be your life and your family's life, and you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong.
I like it. I did attitude. I said earlier, is definitely a big factor in life in general. It's taken me about 41 and a half years to figure this all out. When COVID hit, bro, I was definitely, there's several opportunities to just fold up, dude, but I made the decision, I'm going to get my health back. I'm going to look at this as a blessing instead of a curse like everybody. I'm going to go get my health back. I'm going to start exercising again, working out. Oh, great. I get to see my kids more because they're home more. They're not in a school. You know what I mean? And so I started looking at these things every day, man. You can wake up and look at probably 20 bad things and 5 good things, right? Because it's human nature. We obviously magnify those negatives. So that's great, man. Do you specifically write down your goals as your goals?
No, I don't. I'm not a list person. No, I don't. I absolutely should. I think my goal every day is just to meet my overhead.
I hear you, man. I hear you. It's pretty simple, right?
Yeah, as long as I do that.
In the morning and you go out to work and you're able to make some money and pay your guys. That's a good thing.
When I started the company the first time, and I didn't officially create a mission statement the second time, but my mission statement is pretty basic. It's to help people get where they want to go. And that's a complete umbrella. It's me, it's my family, it's the client, it's my guys. It's literally everybody that I come in contact with, that I do business with, that I have to deal with every single day. The whole goal of why I'm even sitting here with you and why I have this opportunity is just to help people get where they want to go. And that comes in a lot of different shapes and forms. But as long as I'm doing that in some way, shape, or form, then I'm meeting my goal.
Yeah. Perfect, dude. Do you have 2 mistakes that I know you have tons of mistakes because we've all had 2 mistakes, but do you have 2 mistakes that stick out in your head that really were that you really learned from, that you were able to learn from in order to grow with your business?
Man, the first thing that comes to mind, and it's not necessarily growth in business. I have a work trailer that we work out of, and most of the time it's left on the job site. And I had just kind of basic, cheaper locks on it. I got robbed 3 months ago. Literally stole every single tool that I owned. And when you're accumulating tools and starting your business and growing, you have to get all your basic tools, right? And then you have to screws, just outfit the whole trailer. And then you can start buying your luxury tools. And I was well into my luxury tools and I was feeling good. And we were getting to where I was almost done building the back end of the tools and equipment and whatnot. And they robbed me blind. That actually turned into us looking into security systems for trailers. They don't exist whatsoever. My wife's called a bunch of different trailer manufacturers. It just doesn't exist whatsoever. So that's something that kind of came out of it. It was a mistake putting a cheap lock on it. And now I have the circle locks that are much harder to get into. But out of that came the idea of trying to figure out how to secure trailers, which, hell, if it goes right,
it might be a second business opportunity.
Yeah, it might be. I'm certainly not an engineer, but there's, and if anybody's listening that is an engineer, I would love to have a conversation, because we got some ideas floating around. But nothing really comes to mind as far as mistakes. I don't know that I would see a mistake as a mistake. You know what I mean? I don't know that I would take that away from it as far as it being a mistake.
Or maybe I should just say two things that were just taught you good lessons. I mean, obviously the trailer thing, you're like, man, I'm a dummy. I should.
Man, they left me with a couple. It was terrible. You got like 2 or 3 jobs going on, and left me with a couple job costs. I literally had nothing. Luckily, the guys that I do employ, they all are outfitted with all their own tools. So I didn't skip a beat, didn't have a hiccup, nothing. I was able to take a week and order all new tools, and which is also fun to do. I got to upgrade all my tools, but I don't know. I would not. I don't know. I've never really. I don't have a good answer for that.
That's a great mindset. I mean, if you truly don't feel like you made mistakes, and I know you made mistakes, but you don't look at it like that, right? It's
I don't.
You're definitely not a perfect human, because those don't exist. We all screw up, dude. So that's great. I love that. I love it. Can you talk about any systems that you guys currently have in place that you couldn't live without, like any like CRMs or any like tools, like in general, like even kind of like maybe the stuff that your wife uses that you're like, man, this is
that's what I was going to say. I have not been a system guy my whole life. She is starting to implement some things that I'm finally just now starting to take advantage of, and it's mostly scheduling. She handles my intake and she creates my schedule for me. And prior to that, I'm a notebook and a pen guy. I've always been a notebook and a pen guy. I would have the beginning of my notebook would have my daily schedule, weekly schedule, and I would refer to my notebook. And then all my notes on the job were taken in my notebook, then transferred into the computer and sent out. She now has me, we use Outlook as far as our email, and it has a scheduling system within it. And she finally, like literally just in the last couple of weeks, got me to start doing my schedule online rather than on a notebook. And that has been invaluable. I was so against it for so long. I felt like such a dummy once I realized how much easier and better it made everything. We don't have a lot of systems in place. I think we're still figuring a lot of things out. We're still in our first 2 years. And then, when I first started, I had no tools again the first time. I was taking on random jobs, and now we're kind of keyed into what we want to be and what we're good at, what we're efficient at, what we want to market towards. And I think that over the next year or two, if we revisit this conversation, I probably have a whole different answer. But as of right now, we're trying to figure out who we are, what our identity is, what we're good at, what we're not good at, what makes us money, what makes the guys happy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. How's the maintaining work and life balance for you? Is that, you feel like you got that pretty mastered now, or is that you're still trying to figure that all out?
I think they're two of the same. I think they're the same thing. I live this, I eat it, I breathe it. It's a part of who I am. And if I was to remove this, I wouldn't be the same person in life that I am. So I think that they are two of the same. I think one,
but obviously, I mean, you're talking about working these long hours, and if you're constantly working these long hours, then you might come home one day and your kids are like, who's that guy? Oh, that's my dad. Oh, right.
No, I take my time. I never work the weekends. I'm home a lot more than I used to be. With her doing my schedule, and then we've learned a couple things hiring these last couple estimators, which has kind of made it a little bit easier on me. I spend a lot of time in the office. We do have a home office, and we almost have like 2 huge living rooms, and one of them is centrally located in the middle of the house, and that's where we have everything set up. So if I am working, which is typically on the computer or on a job walk, I'm still right here with my family. Now, on the days that I have to run around the world like crazy getting materials and managing the projects, those days I'm away and tend to be long. But I think that it's even kill. You know, it's some days I'm here, some days I'm not. But there's no weeks where I'm just not home. You know?
But there's a balance to where it seems like the wife's happy, the kids are happy, you're happy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I know sometimes it's for me, I like to call it the triangle, right? So the triangle of my family, my kids, my businesses, and how do you perfectly make sure? Because for me, what I've found personally is if I spend a little bit too much time on one of those pieces of my business, my family, and the kids, is it kind of gets out of whack, right? There's only a certain
one away from the other,
right? And so it's this almost kind of this perfect thing. And what I found has worked out great for me is one night a week. I have twin daughters that are going to be 9 here this month. Oh my God. Or actually next month. It's crazy how quickly they get, how quickly they grow. I know, you know that. I pencil in a date night for my girlfriend, myself, a date night for each one of the girls. And then if it's not on my schedule, man, like that's who I am. It sounds like before, if it wasn't wrote down in the notepad, it wasn't getting done. And so it's the same thing for me. Like tonight, it's one of my girls' date night. You know, we'll finish up dinner. We'll go, hey, what do you want to go grab a little dessert? Whatever the case is, right? And it's only like an hour to maybe an hour and a half of time, individual time. It feels like an eternity for a child.
Yeah.
I feel like, God, I wish I could spend more time, but I just don't have it right now. So that's the type of things I'm talking about. And I know that that's a lot of struggle when you are owning a business. At least that's what I found. So.
Well, the one thing I have going for myself is my wife and I are business partners. We're 50-50 partners in this, and she also has her accounting company. So my office work is typically done with her. You know, we're sitting right next to each other. So as far as my relationship with her and the time spent, we could probably use some time apart sometimes.
Yeah. Nice. Individual date night with each other.
As far as the kids, I have a 10-year-old boy that I split custody via Massachusetts with. And when he's here, I do go out of my way to make sure he loves fishing. We fish a lot, and we have a lot of piers here that we fish off of, and we'll go sleep overnight on the pier. And fish, all night into the morning. And, that's how we spend our quality time. And I do go out of my way to make sure that I do make the time to do that, because he doesn't really have any friends here. He doesn't go to school here. He doesn't have a social life here whatsoever. Not a whole lot to do. Yeah. And he's a gamer when he's with his mom, and he wants to be more active when he's here. He doesn't necessarily sit down and play video games. So I do go out of my way to make sure that he has some stuff to do, if it's not at least cleaning the house. And then my daughter is only 1.5 years old. So I'm not quite to the point with her that, she knows that she needs daddy time or is lacking daddy time or family time. Most of my evenings, I'm sitting in the house on the couch with my wife and my daughter, for the most part. But I think that why I could see it becoming an issue down the road, I think where I'm at right now and how I go about things right now is sufficient for everybody involved. I don't think anybody really needs to pull me in more, push me out, or either one of those two things. I think I have a pretty good little flow going.
Yeah, right on, man. So what would you like to see with your legacy, Chris, with your contracting company? What's your vision, I guess, in your mind of let's say, for example, you're getting ready to retire. What's your vision of what the company's going to?
Well, my current goal, and I guess it should be every contractor's initial goal, is to get the business to run by itself, to where you can step away for, say, a month and nothing skips a beat. The phones are still getting answered. The estimates are still getting turned. The project's still being managed. It takes a lot of different people in the right places to make that happen. But I think that any one of us should at least say the same thing, that is the first goal, is to get it to run smoothly by itself, as its own unit and exist, without me constantly pouring energy into it. Beyond that,
is there a hope that maybe your son will follow in your footsteps, or your daughter?
I don't think that far ahead. Maybe being self-employed, sure. Yeah, I would definitely prefer to see that than, working for $15-20 an hour their whole life. But they're so young. My son's 10. I have no clue who he's going to end up being. He loves so many different things. Yeah. He's so talented at a lot of different. He's great at math, so it'd be a good fit. But there's no telling, and I have zero expectation. I just, I hope that I'm a good enough role model to show him that get your ass up and work hard every day, and you'll have whatever you want. And
I think. Obviously, there's a stigma about high school dropouts. We've kind of talked about people that aren't as educated out there, but I like your story because it's proven that you don't need all this education. You don't need these multiple degrees from colleges to be successful. All it takes is a lot of hard work, which I personally grew up with that. I grew up with a single mom that was making like $20,000 a year supporting my sister and I, and she worked her ass off, man. Did she show me how to be a successful business person? No, because she was working, what was supposed to be a 9-to-5 job, but was always like more hours than that, right? Or multiple jobs as a kid. And so the one thing that I always can tell people I bring to the table is I'll outwork anybody.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And
it's okay to the first part of what you just said. It's okay to have the mentality that you don't necessarily need degrees, as long as you know that you still have a lot to learn. Because it's not like just pure ambition is going to get you there. You're going to stop learning out of those math books and start learning in code books. You know what I mean? It's just a different type of knowledge.
Or common sense, which So no, I think it's inspirational, man, because there's definitely a ton of people that are sitting there just pounding, go to college. Oh, you don't have a degree. And statistically, when you start looking at the amount of people that do actually have degrees that are using them, it's very, very slim.
Exactly.
And so it's pretty cool that you've overcame a lot of what people would say would be roadblocks, man. Like, you could have made a ton of excuses. I always like to call it that bitch voice that gets in there and starts talking to you, man. And we all have that, where it's just like, oh, you could have been like, oh, I didn't even finish high school. I don't deserve this, or, you know what I mean? Or I shouldn't be, I don't deserve to be a business owner. I don't deserve to make a good living because of, X, Y, and Z. And you've had a ton, dude. You could have folded up shop probably a million times. 100 times. You just say, you know what, this isn't an option, man. I'm just gonna keep pushing through it. So,
or in the pro wrestling world, it's odd when you start wrestling young, and then get relatively good at it, and your name gets out there, and you start to travel a bit and make a little bit of money. That becomes your identity. A lot of people cannot let go of that and transition into just being a normal person. I could easily have done that. I got to a point where recovering from matches took about a week. Like, it would hurt. Just a basic, simple match, it would hurt for about a week. And I knew that my body was done. It had over 20 years on it, and it was time to, decide to be healthy for my kids down the road rather than my ego now. That's one of those things where all these guys, they start young and end up 35, 37, 40, 45, 50 and still doing it when they could have done anything else. Start your own wrestling promotion, start your own company, but stop.
Stop.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I gotta know, man. We're coming up here towards the end of the show, man. I gotta know who are some of your wrestling mentors that you looked up to as a kid.
As a kid, Hillbilly Jim was my favorite. I don't know why. I think it was just the charisma. The Rockers. I grew up on WWF. I didn't know NWA or WCW. I didn't know any of that existed. I grew up in the Northeast, and all that was there was WWF. So it was Hillbilly Jim, the Rockers. I think it was the product as a whole, not like one individual person. Jake the Snake. I wasn't too big into like the Warriors or the Hulk Hogan's or anything like that.
Duggan? I've
actually wrestled him.
Dude, that dude, I used to love as a kid watching him come in with 2x4 and just acting like a crazy dude. Like,
he's bananas, man. A lot of those older guys are bananas. A lot of them are still doing it. Jim Duggan is still doing it.
I used to love watching Ultimate Warrior. That dude used to trip me out as a kid, man. And then just I think the whole thing with was Gene, the dude that used to do the interviewing.
Okerlund.
Yeah.
Gene Okerlund.
Dude, I used to love watching Mean Gene, and I'm sure he's probably interviewed you, dude. But like as a kid watching that stuff, and as a kid not realizing that it was just acting, you know what I mean? I was like, I thought this crap was real.
I believed until my first day of training. I refused to believe. Like, none of it makes sense. I'm not going to throw somebody to the ropes and they're going to actually come back. Like, common sense just does not exist within the rest of the world at all. But I refused until my very first day of training. I was totally sold that it was real, and which makes it even dumber for me to want to do it. Because I was like a twiggy little tiny 120-pound 15-year-old, and no, it is what it is. It turned out to be what it was, but it was a cool part of life.
Dude, I love it, man. I love your story. I truly have enjoyed our conversation today, and I appreciate you coming on the show. Just so, because I know you're going to share this out with your network there, how can people that are in your neck of the woods in Virginia, if they're needing a great, honest, reliable contractor, how can they get in touch with you?
The easiest way is Facebook, Facebook.com/CNE Contracting. The phone number is
759 or the N?
N.
For Nancy. Okay.
Yeah. CNE Contracting. Or is it CND? Does it show up as CNE, right? Yeah, CNE Contracting. Phone number is area code 757-238-1639. We do have a website that's live, but it looks like crap right now, so I'm not going to put that out there. Facebook is definitely the easiest. If you were to just Google CNE Contracting, we will pop up on Google. You could contact us that way. Or just, I don't know, if they make like a bat light with a hammer, you could just put it in the sky or something like that.
Yeah, dude, old bat signal, right? Maybe some SOS, little.
There you go.
Maybe some smoke signals.
Yeah. Why not? I'll trust me. I like money.
just smoke signals and some dollar signs. And,
there you go. I'll know
right. Right on, man. I appreciate you coming on. You guys enjoy your Thanksgiving here next week, and man, great job with that.
It's been nice, and I hope everybody enjoyed.
All right, man. Peace, love, and plants, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.